It was great marketing. How much of it was, Hogan, Hall, Nash? That would have been quite the centerpiece of the initial invasion angle. But how much of them was holding out? How much of it was them being told, we have a better idea for you in the future? But then if they never came in when they did, would there have been the white hot build for Rock Hogan at WrestleMania that followed, that year in 2002? That WrestleMania 18? Would there have been that white hot build? Would there have been? I don't know. The Nash and Hall kind of flopped as, but that's neither here or there. Scott Steiner debuted in that Survivor Series, and it's like, Mysterio debuted, I don't know if it was before Scott Steiner or after, but when all these guys were being announced, or whenever the surprise returns came, or surprise debuts for some, would it have been, even though it would have completely changed the dynamic of probably what wrestling is today, if a lot of these main players had come to play, no pun intended, the big boys played WCW, if they would have gone instead, earlier instead of later, would that have been a case of the WWE blowing their load way, way, way too early, cashing in as much as they can right now, and but and it also doesn't help, and I'm reading here on the chat, and it also doesn't help when guys like DDP, who was poorly booked. I didn't enjoy the Stalker angle with him and Undertaker's wife Sarah. I didn't enjoy that, and looking at it years later, I enjoyed it a lot less now than I did back then. It makes me very uncomfortable. But then he was kind of the reflection of. Well, he did beat him up. She did beat him up, but it was reflecting on. Okay. But then it was reflecting off himself as the positive person that he is, and obviously with the now good health of, better health, I should say, of Scott Hall and Jake Roberts. But then you got to think about some of the lower card guys too. I don't know if Glacier was still around. What about Mike Sanders? He was great on the mic, just I don't remember his wrestling too much to really think of it. Vampiro would have been another one that could have had a great feud with The Undertaker. He could have had a good match with The Undertaker where it's like, you might be the American badass now, but, you always have that dark side to you. It could have been something really great. But this is why we have shows like this, where we just talk about this shit for as long as we choose. So, the possibilities are endless. RVD and Booker T flourished and survived after the invasion. Yes, they did, because I don't know why Booker did. I'm gonna cash a lot of shit for this. As much as I loved RVD, and Booker T was okay, but I don't think he was in WWE or WWF once he came over. I don't think he was World Championship material, which is I think it signifies why he only got one World Championship run, on top of the fact that you're competing for spots against the likes of Austin, and you wrestled for the WCW title against The Rock, numerous times and came up short. You had the Austin feud. He did good things. I don't think he minded doing the jobs either, and I agree with that. But I think he could have been booked a little bit better. That's one where I'm like, you spent so much time building Booker T. He overcomes all odds to win a WCW title last Raw, and they just kind of let it go. I mean, the next time he kind of really sniffed it was when he wrestled Triple H at WrestleMania 19. And then eventually when he won the World Championship in like 2005, 2006. So, but yeah, RVD definitely flourished. He, unfortunately for him, and this kind of says like, oh, where the direction of the company would be these days. If RVD never got busted for that drug bust, Big Show would never have had the championship, the ECW championship, and had those series of matches they did. And I highly doubt that Edge would have regained the title as quickly as he did. I think RVD would have held it for a lot longer. What are you talking about? Regal did wrestle in the Invasion. He would have matches with Tajiri, and he had one with Raven, I was just talking about before. He did wrestle. He was just the WWF commissioner turned the Alliance commissioner. And at that time, I know he had his shit that he was dealing with too. Not that I know from personal experience, just like from things that I would be reading and I would be hearing, that he has his stuff to deal with too. Vampiro was completely underrated. Yes, he was a world-traveled wrestler before coming into WCW. I mean, like, this guy wrestled all over the fucking world. And mainly his mainstay was Mexico. But very well versed. He knows psychology of wrestling. And he understands it. He's also the single reason why the incarnation of the Misfits of Doyle and Michael Grace broke up. But that's besides the point. Oh, god damn. Vampiro, my god. But that's another story for another time. I know he's Canadian, but he wrestled a lot in Mexico. Like, that was like almost his second home. Doesn't he do commentary on Lucha Underground right now? If I remember right, he does commentary on Lucha Underground. If I remember right, I haven't watched it really ever, but yep, CMLL and AAA. Yep, and he is commentator. I was right. Okay. Well, yeah, he had the match before he passed the torch to that dude with the black attire. Black something, I can't remember. Yeah, Pentagon. There you go. Okay. And he passed the torch over the Pentagon. I remember seeing something about that. I didn't really watch the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, and oh god, remember the team of Chronic, Brian Adams and oh god, what the hell is that other guy's name? Crush and Atom Bomb. We'll just go with their WWF aliases. They had the worst tag team match, I think, and they were a really good tag team in WCW. Like, they dominated the WCW tag team scene for a while, and they were good. No, Russo should not have booked shit. He still shouldn't book anything. But but yeah, Chronic, they botched their spot when they completely fucked up their match with Kane and The Undertaker. I mean, and you're being put into that position against those two guys for a reason. And I'm not saying that now, historically speaking, that, they've become what they've become. It's just, it's Kane and The Undertaker. I mean, The Undertaker was then and still is one of the most revered guys in wrestling history. And you are getting a huge chance to wrestle these guys. And I believe they didn't wrestle in a cage match. That was DDP and Canyon. But they had a big pay-per-view match with them, and they completely fucked that up. Their fault. Their fault completely. And it could have been so much more. Then what would the state of the tag team division have been now? If they had just kept Palumbo and O'Hare together, and well, they did have Billy and Chuck, so I can't really complain, at least from Palumbo's perspective. It's just you also had, was it No Mercy? I don't know. I'll take a look. But you also had, okay, the top tier guys, but you had so many lower card guys who, I don't know if they would have been, world championship material, but I feel that they would have made a world of difference in certain angles and spots. But they had the draft split for a reason, and a lot of these guys still got let go anyway. Again, business decisions, which I'm sure none of them. I mean, maybe some of them to this day, because that's the art of wrestlers. They don't let grudges go. Yeah, Hoovy, Psychosis. Well, they were kind of wrestling for other people at the time. I'm looking up 2001 No Mercy. The card was APA versus Canyon and Morris, Sky Tuhati, Kidman. Nope. Booker T wrestled The Undertaker at the 2001 No Mercy. Oh, the Scream Queen. She would have been fantastic. But, there's so much more that you can dissect with this alliance angle. I might revisit it another day. But this... But seriously, even with Raw and SmackDown, like, okay, if this shit happened now, could you imagine? Like, you wouldn't be able to be surprised with anything. The internet would have been tearing it apart because, oh, this is so bad. You're booking this person wrong because, like, dude, who gives a fuck? Just watch it, enjoy it, be a fan. But right now, I kind of find it funny. I find it kind of funny where you look, and I don't mean to this in any disrespectful way because I have friends who are working with Impact Wrestling right now, but I have to say, their efforts with Global Force Wrestling versus Impact Wrestling, they tried it before. And we already got Goldberg Rock in 2003. But I totally lost my train of thought now. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh well. Obviously it wasn't important if I had lost my train of thought. And the fantasy matches, I mean, like, okay. Impact and Global. They did it before. And now they're doing it again because Jeff Jarrett is now basically in charge of Impact Wrestling right now. You can't catch that. You can't catch that lightning in a bottle again. Like, now you're bringing in a lot of the big players from both sides, but nobody gives a shit anymore. Again, I can't disagree with Goldberg coming in. I don't know if Goldberg Austin would have ever happened. Goldberg Rock already did, 2003. Sting Taker could have easily happened, but would it have been the Sting Taker that we would have wanted, let's say, for WrestleMania 30 or 31, where it would have been the Dead Man versus, the Vigilante? Or would you have rather seen Sting take on Undertaker, the American Badass? You know what I mean? Like, Sting versus Kane would have been okay too. And again, if they even were able to get them sooner, would it have been the right time? Would they have been utilized right? Goldberg still hated the fact, in his return, he hated it. I think after a while, his love for wrestling burnt out. And when he finally, I guess, got an offer he couldn't refuse in 2003, and he got immediately placed with The Rock, a world championship run, which I'm sure was probably printed in his contract too. I think that the timing, again, in hindsight, was perfect. Okay, but it would have changed a lot of things. It would have changed a lot of things. Again, if he had come in the initial invasion angle, which, okay, we can't really say what would it have been now. Would it have improved things? Oh, fuck yeah. But would it have been the same feel? Rock on his way out to Hollywood, and Goldberg kind of coming in now, just ripping, just doing, making absolute